I think that Comac Vetus is a DILF.
Start your sublight engines, it's time for RuPaul's Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome back to another week of chaos. My name is Mel, I use they them pronouns. You can find me on TikTok at GrunkleRex, and call me Elzar Man because my gender this week is Avar, Kiss me on the mouth? I guess that works.
I'm a really big fan of that, actually. My name is Ollie, I use any pronouns. You can find me on social media at Ollie Fresh, it's Fresh with a PH, and my gender this week is actually the Chris Ascendancy, which is a system of planets that has built a government entirely on their love for Avar Chris. That's where Thrawn's from, you know?
As he should be. Everyone stands Avar.
I do like Avar stan Thrawn. I think that's very powerful. He writes like Hamilton about Avar. Like the Star Wars version of Hamilton is...
Get out.
Once again, Myth Manuel Miranda strikes again.
I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on social media at Kawaii Jessio, and my gender this week is Mark, come get your damn dog, bitch. Mark as in Marciano.
Mark's like, people are like, get your dog back, and he looks at them dead in the eyes and is like, it bites.
And they're like, yes, it do!
My name is Noah. I go by he, him pronouns. You can find me on TikTok at The Jewish Jedi. And my gender this week is Lord's hit single, The Paths, featuring Mari Santeca.
This episode, we're going to be talking about the High Republic. We're going to be talking about it in a non-spoilery capacity, kind of like pitching it to folks who haven't read the High Republic, don't know much about it. Maybe you didn't listen to the Rogue Ones because you're like, oh, I don't want spoilers. But before we get into that, the Book of Boba Fett trailer did drop Monday. How are we feeling, besties?
I am really excited for it. Largely because I'm really happy to see that it looks like Boba and Fennec are going to get to have a story largely independent of Din, because I did have like a small thing in the back of my mind where I was like, please don't make this into like Mandalorian season 3. I'm really pumped for it though. I liked all of like the cool characters we got to see, and honestly, like, my thing with Star Wars is I feel like it never gets intimate with like the socio-political landscape of individual planets. And so I like that it seems they're going to be like, we're going to talk about Tatooine, like the whole thing going on in that planet. And I'm actually excited for that because like we don't get a lot of intimate knowledge about individual planets in Star Wars. And I'm pumped to see that Sand World just give it its all.
Go girl, give us everything. Thank you, Tatooine. Yeah, I'm also very excited. I think it looks really interesting. Just like from a story perspective, I don't really know what's going to be about. I assume it's going to be about Boba and Fennec being like, let's make this planet less shitty, which I think is very exciting. I do like the idea of there's some pipeline there of Anakin being like, this planet sucks, and then Boba Fett being like, actually, I'm fixing it anyway.
I do like the idea that Book of Boba Fett is not even like about him being a bounty hunter. It's like him running in the mayoral race. Like he's like, vote Boba Fett for governor of this area.
It's him against those other like guys he was talking to in the trailer, you know, like the Trandoshans and the other guy who I don't remember what kind of...
The Ithorian.
Not the Ithorian, the other guy who was just
the scary
like,
dog man?
the scary dog man.
Speaking of the Trandoshan, sorry, the fucking Trandoshan's like wearing like a little sweater moment. I don't know if you guys noticed in the trailer. I love canon sweaters because now we have cable knit from The Mandalorian and whatever the fuck that motherfucker has going on in Book of Boba Fett. I'm very excited. Anyways.
Finally, Star Wars can have comfy fall fashion.
The representation we deserve.
Yeah, I'm also very excited as one of the 2 resident Boba Fett stans on this podcast. I just, yes, I want to see what the hell is going on with him and Fennec and their like cool underworld quest. Fuck. And yeah, I hope other cool fun people show up like Bosk, because we did see those other Trandoshans. What if Bosk also has a sweater? Sorry, I just had a moment.
Bosk with a new fit is very powerful because he has been wearing the exact same outfit for like,
well, so
at that
Fennec.
point, like almost like 30 years. So I would, yeah, Fennec too. Like 30 years, same outfit. Oh my god, that's why Boba likes her so much. He's like, you remind me of one of the people who helped raise me. And she's like, oh, is it because like I'm nurturing, or is it because I'm not really that nurturing? He's like, no, it's because you've been wearing the same outfit since I met you.
She's just like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I like the idea of us getting to see a scene of Fennec Shand, like she wakes up in the morning, fucking what is the song called? I think it's like called give me 1 second. I have a very specific song stuck in my head that I think it'd be funny if Fennec Shand was listening to. Yeah, Sunny by Boney M. The fucking give me a second. Anyways, the idea of her waking up, listening to that, and then opening her closet, and it's just 18 of the same outfit. She's like, I wonder which one. That's
Mel,
amazing to me.
I've never needed a scene in Star Wars more in my fucking life because one, that song is a jam, but two, the idea that Fennec has like an Elle Woods style wake up montage where like the radio automatically comes on and she's like blissfully coming alive in the morning. And then she walks into Boba's room to do his eyebrows and then she goes about her day.
Okay. Also, I will add, it is extremely funny to me that Fennec is like, everyone makes fun of me all my life because I've always worn the same outfit. And then she meets Boba Fett and a bunch of Mandalorians, and she's like, see, they do that. Because they all have their armor. They wear the same, like they wear the same thing. Get it?
The idea of Fennec being like, finally a community that accepts me for what I am.
Speaking of Boba Fett and like his armor, it has like changed slightly since like the Mandalorian season 2, which is like pretty epic. But then also, I just want to like bring up the little pit droid that handed him his helmet in the beginning of the trailer because I've been thinking about that little motherfucker. Oh, pit droids, my beloved.
The parallels in that beginning scene in the trailer where he's like holding the helmet and then puts it on to the scene in Attack of the Clones where his father has been decapitated in a passion for fashion, Jango Fett.
I mean, everything Jango Fett did was in a fashion,
period. So I just love that.
The idea that the show is going to give me any more Jango content, because I'm firmly in the camp that Jango was a good dad to Boba. I just want to see more of that.
But yeah, I completely agree. Also, I'm very excited for the Tusken Raider content. The Tuskens, my beloved. I will enter my problem era simply because the combination of seeing Fennec Shand like get to have like a character arc and the Tuskens, my besties. Oh, it's over. It's over.
I'm just thinking like Boba and the Tuskens both having like marginalized people similarities. Sorry, I was forgetting the words I wanted to use. I feel like these are not the correct words.
I think I think the word you're looking for is both have beef with Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, you're right. So true, bestie.
Sorry.
I like the solidarity, the handshake meme. It's Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not even like Anakin Skywalker, just a Skywalker. The Tuskens and Boba having beef with a Skywalker.
So true, bestie.
To be fair, Boba does have beef with Anakin specifically because when he did try to crash that Star Destroyer that Mace Windu was on, Anakin did help stop him. So
yeah, but
I think
Anakin's son,
but he wasn't like really like
Sarlacc. So
I know. Okay, I know, but it's for the jokey joke.
The Tuskens also have beef with Luke. To be fair,
as they should. Remember when one of them just was like, "Hey, Twink," and then beat the shit out of him?
I'm just saying, I want to know more about like Din learning their language and like learning to be a part, like a little bit a part of them. I like the idea that the first phrase they teach him is, "Hey, Twink." They're like, "You look like the type of guy who could use this. Here's how to say this when you go to bars."
We're going to be talking non-spoilery for this first segment. We're basically pitching the High Republic to you if you have not already read or I was gonna say watched, but there's nothing really to watch besides like the YouTube videos. Listened to maybe like Tempest Runner, because you should, because it's very good.
Something that I think is really nice about the High Republic is for a lot of people who really enjoy the concept of the Jedi Order, it really gives us a lot there. Because I think something that I know as someone who really enjoys the prequel era, I really like the idea of the Order, but where we see it is almost like it's at its most flawed. And the question is like, is that the fault of the individual Jedi? Is it the fault of them being controlled, like the Senate having too much power in their operations? Is it the fault of the council themselves? Like, what's the deal? The High Republic really gives a lot of insight into where they are. And it also shows, like, here's why people loved the Jedi so much, and here's why the Jedi were so revered. It, you know, here's when the Jedi were, like, universally epic.
I also think one of the things that I like about the High Republic is whenever you try to expand a beloved universe, people tend to think that the reason that people like that universe is for like the characters, but like I'm not reading the High Republic to be like, is there going to be a mention of a great Skywalker ancestor? Like, the authors that were a part of it seem to really nicely realize that like the universe of Star Wars itself is interesting to explore. And like, honestly, it took some like pushing on other people's part to get me to actually like read the rest of the High Republic. Like, I read Light of the Jedi and I was like, that's good enough. But once you get into it, it sort of burns its way into your brain. And now I have brain worms from all the characters in this because they're great. Thematically, the way that it explores what exactly the Force is and like what it means to be like a good Jedi is really refreshing from the way that a lot of other Star Wars media tries, and in my opinion, fails to do that. Like, I believe a lot of the arguments that characters have in the High Republic is being valid on all sides, whereas in the other ones, I'm like, Anakin, girl, shut up. Like, you have nothing to say.
Yeah, I agree with like a lot of what like Noah and Ollie said about like reasons to get into the High Republic. They just have such like a good diverse like cast of characters that like you think like, oh, I'm not really into this one character, but then there could be like 5 others that you really vibe with. I will always take any opportunity to talk about how great Vern is because she's very epic. But there's other characters, and they're all, like I said, diverse, because it's not all just like, no offense to the Skywalkers, but like, you know, like white people. But yeah, there's like not even just different like skin tone race like humans, but like a bunch of epic like non-human like characters too that exist in this like this era of Star Wars, and I love all of them. Well, that's not true. Marshall and Ro meet me in the pit.
I completely agree, Jess. I think the diversity within the High Republic is one of its strong suits, and it was really what drew me to it because, hot take, I'm not like a huge fan of the Jedi or like really interested in them in any capacity. The Force, however, I am super interested in. So that was a big selling point also. It was like, oh, an exploration of the Force beyond Force users, because that's something that is talked about in the book. Jordana Sparkburn, hey girly. Yeah, like just getting to see where all the melanin was in Star Wars, which unfortunately was apparently 200 years before the Skywalker saga, and then it was like, oh, white people. I don't know. It's really refreshing. I really enjoy it. This morning there was some art revealed for some characters in Mission to Disaster, and specifically one, I think his name is Yasik Sparkburn. The joy, the little hee I had at my desk of like looking through that art and being like, oh, there is like a white woman here, sure, but like, hey King, like we have brown people who are just like thriving. And I was just, yeah, it's a pleasant little surprise to see people of color. It's like,
There's also a lot of like gay people. There's not like it really does feel like there's a significant amount of people who are members of like the LGBTQ community, and it like there are characters. There's more than one character that uses they them pronouns. There's, I believe, 3, which is very exciting.
To be fair, 2 of them do have kind of a communal gender happening. But
that they do.
It's our
they
gender.
them Pearl.
They are they them plural. Tarek and Sarah, love you guys, truly. But there's a lot of that. There's like 2 canonically like asexual characters. There are, one of the books has like one of the lead POV characters is a lesbian. Like there's a gay couple in Light of the Jedi
and in The Rising Storm.
And The Rising Storm, yeah. And one of the main POV characters is some form of man-loving man, so we'll see where that story takes him. But yeah, no, there's a lot of gay people, a lot of like racial diversity, and a lot of just like not to be that person, but there is a lot of diversity of thought. There's a lot of different perspectives on the galaxy, on the Republic, on what the Jedi Order is, and like, you know, what the outreach of the Republic means, and like all that stuff. It's really, really entertaining. And I get very worried as someone who is very like, I enjoy a character driven moment. And a lot of my love for Star Wars is because I love the characters. And I was very worried getting into the High Republic that I was not going to be able to get into it because I didn't know anyone. And that was quickly proven to be untrue.
Besides like the Jedi, even though the High Republic era has made me be like, wow, the Jedi are so epic, there are like other characters in this are like important that are like not Jedi. So if you're like a person who's not super interested in the Jedi stuff, there are characters for you out there in the High Republic too. Also, the Nihil, who are like the kind of main antagonists of this like story, they're, even though they are kind of like, because they are evil in the sense, since they are the antagonists, they are also very epic and interesting. I feel like fleshed out villains to this.
On the villains note, I'm not gonna say too much because part of the fun of this character in particular is like having an oh shit moment when like they actually become a very interesting villain. But I feel like when I was watching the sequels come out and they were like, this is Kyle and he's evil, I was like, he is nothing. He's just an angry guy from your like poli-sci lecture. Like he means nothing to me. And I don't know. Like, and the same with Snoke. I was just like, okay, he's some dude. He's a guy. The villains in the High Republic, one, do bring genuine fear and anger into my body, like viscerally whenever I'm reading about them. But also, they're interesting and they're better developed, and their motivations are really like cool to learn about. Especially Miss Lorna D, my icon. But I like that a lot because it you actually sort of get tension when they're in a room with another character because you believe that they're capable of doing bad shit. And on that note, something that is interesting about Star Wars is that when you're watching the originals and the prequels and whatnot, you can have a sort of situational awareness of who lives and dies and when, because you know if those characters made it to the next series or somewhere else, like where they're going to be. But in the High Republic, there's only like 3 characters that will ever appear in the later pieces of media. So literally it's anybody's guess as to who survives and doesn't. And I, at first reading this, I was like, it's fine, they would never harm any of these characters, and I was wrong.
Yeah, if you like just kind of like a wump fest, you will enjoy the High Republic books, because it's like you get to some real highs in the Rising Storm, and then it becomes to a crashing halt and like a massive 8-car wreck. I like spoilers for the Rising Storm. There's an 8-car wreck. No, but I tend to agree with you, Noah. I think also the crux of like Kylo Ren's character has to do with the fact that he's conflicted about what he's doing, right? Because he's like, oh, like I'm evil, but like what's up? But for the villains in the High Republic, they're like, no, actually, fuck this. I'm gonna fuck around and find out, and you will too.
Yeah, like the villains in the High Republic, like, because I enjoy a conflicted villain, but these guys are not. They have conflict, but it's a different sort. Like, the main villains of the High Republic are like, hee hee, I want to hurt people on purpose. And they're like, for why? Like, oh, well, they're just trying to prove a point. Like, they're not proving a point. They're like indiscriminately hurting random civilians. So it's like, it's very actually refreshing to see a villain who I'm like, I am enjoying hating you, and I don't have to think too hard about your motives. Like, it ultimately, you're just a evil, weird little person, and I love that.
I will also say, just as a comic enjoyer, the High Republic comics are very, very well drawn and well written, but like they're just nice to look at, and I appreciate that. They have really good art. On a bit of a spoilery note, I walked into the High Republic comics being like, they're comics, so everything in here will be fine and dandy because it's comics, it'll be okay. And then they were like worse. than the books in terms of trauma. I was like, damn, never mind.
And that's another thing I actually really enjoy about the High Republic is that it feels so intertwined and interactive almost, where you're seeing these things through different forms of media and, having that uncertainty of like, where the fuck is this going? That makes it really fun. I really love the comics. I especially love the High Republic adventures. I just think that they're very charming. I can't wait for the Cantum Sai Buckets of Blood Bake Off.
Something that did throw me off when I was getting into this series was that pretty much all of the books write from this standpoint of having multiple perspectives, like minute to minute. So you're jumping around in location, but not in time. Which at first was disorienting, but once you get used to it, is a really cool method of storytelling that I thought was fun. So yeah, just like as an awareness thing, because like reading The Light of the Jedi, I was like, how many minutes have passed by chapter 12? And it's like, I don't know, maybe 7, or maybe like a couple days. It's unclear.
I actually really liked the different perspectives. I've always found that kind of like method of like storytelling like very fun and interesting. Not to pull a Claudia and bring up something else that's not Star Wars, but like my favorite anime is called Durarara, and they have that kind of like moment of like all kind of telling the same story but from all these different characters' perspectives, and it all like is interconnected, and you see like, wow, this is such a fucked up story. Not that the High Republic is nothing like Durarara, but just that kind of storytelling I've always really enjoyed. But it does get really confusing for people, I guess.
Yeah, I think also something I really like about the High Republic and having like that switch of characters is one, we do get like highlights of like non-Jedi characters, like just like people living in the world, and the world just feels, like I said, super lived in. I also just love the High Republic for their authors as well, because this does feel like 5 authors got together, have their Star Wars OCs, and are just like kind of trading them around as they tell different stories that become this larger entity, and I am obsessed with that.
I like the idea that the High Republic was essentially like they did a D&D campaign, but they wrote it down the entire time, and they're like, all right, here we are. Everybody go write a book. I think it's cool that characters experience the permanence of death. I don't know what I mean by that, but like, okay, actually I do. Character death in the High Republic feels like it actually has weight, and like it actually does sit with you afterwards. Like I'm not even kidding. I finished the fucking The Rising Storm, and I had to call Mel and be like, what the fuck just happened to me? Like, and I thought about it for like a while, because the events of that book are like genuinely the characters matter to you, but when they die, you actually are like, oh, someone has just passed. Not like, oh my god, that guy got impaled. That's crazy.
A spoilery thing that I had a couple like spoilery words, things that I liked, like one freaking Vern versus Emery, and Emery being like, don't get in my way, Vern. I'm gonna go to the dark side. I'm gonna get vengeance for my master passing away, and Vern being like, no, you ain't. And beating up Emery to get him to stop. Another thing I really liked was, this is messed up to say, I just thought the really interesting part with like Martial and Ro, when it was revealed that he's like the one who actually killed his own father. Because Light of the Jedi, when he's just like, who killed my dad? It's like that Eric Andre meme where he shoots the guy, just like, who did this? That's Mark killing his own dad and then being like, who did this?
I appreciate you telling which Eric Andre bit, because for some reason in my head immediately went to the Eric Andre bit where he kisses a cop directly in the mouth. And I was like,
It's so funny because mine went to the Eric Andre bit where he was trying to buy a car and he was wearing a really large trench coat. That is how that's like
tries to walk through a store with a bunch of clones of himself that are taped together.
No, Ollie, that's Kevin and
Tarek trying to join the Nihil.
Something I really like about the High Republic is like I kind of said earlier, investigation into non-Jedi life in the Star Wars universe. I really, in Tempest Runner specifically, getting to kind of look at the way that the prison industrial complex, I said industrial weird because I have a lot of thoughts about prisons in Star Wars and specifically in the High Republic era because I think that they're different than how they are after. But also, I don't. Like, I think about Migs Mayfeld's experience as someone who's incarcerated, and I also think about Lourna D's experience as someone who's incarcerated. First of all, Lourna had a different experience because she was also a former slave, so she has some shit going on. Just prior trauma. Migs Mayfeld's just Bill Burr, so I guess that's a marginalized identity.
He might deserve to be in prison,
he
though.
Might deserve to be in prison.
I mean, here's the thing: Lourna D has killed a lot of people, but Migs Mayfeld is played by Bill Burr, so.
Listen, I'm a prison abolitionist, but for Bill Burr. For you, girly. But I just think it's like really interesting to look at those kind of things that I feel like it's a great time to explore these ideas. I could talk about Tempest Runner at length, but I won't lie. I listened to it in August and I'm in the middle of a re-listen to it right now. And I just got to the part where Quinn gets reintroduced. And I was just like, damn. First of all, Tempest Runner, that's another thing I really like about the High Republic. They said, how about there are so many women with deep and complex stories? Like, Lourna D feels like if Amy Dunn went full metal. Like, I know Amy Dunn went full metal, but, like, beyond what she did in Gone Girl.
Lourna D is if Amy Dunn fully committed to the, like, that I think is a fair statement. Because, like, Amy Dunn killed one person, but what if she was like, why stop at one?
Exactly.
Okay. No, because here's my Lourna commits her first murder, and the spectral ghost of Amy Dunn appears and is like, "Aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you want to go ape shit?"
I was thinking that she does the thing that Kylo Ren does in the Last Jedi, where he's like, more.
To be fair, I think that Lourna was never necessarily nice. I think she's always been kind of like saying selfish feels wrong. But also, like, kind of like, she's just a mean woman who started from a place of, like, position of entitlement and power, got that stripped away from her, and said, actually, I am a girl boss, gonna get myself into the role of Tempest Runner real quick.
I am a girl boss, like my father before me.
No, okay, I don't know, have you listened to Tempest Runner?
No.
Okay, so her father is in Tempest Runner, and that's just very funny that you said that. Because, spoiler, she does let him die by firing squad.
They literally do get Romanoffed. Like, literally, it's literally exactly, they get Romanoffed, and she's, like, the Anastasia.
The animated movie Anastasia, but it's starring Lourna D.
Lournastasia?
Now I'm thinking about her freaking Mandalorian armor.
I want to know so badly where she got that shit. Did she get it from
Mandalorna.
Goodwill?
Mandalorna, what are your stories? I do like Goodwill Mando armor. I do like Thrifter Lourna D. Oh my god, okay, I do feel like Lourna D could be one of those, like, upscale thrifters who goes and buys things. She buys things that are too big for her at Goodwill and resells them for an inflated amount.
I like that because, like, Panda Ada is like, hey, that's kind of fucked up that you do that. And she's like, no, it's not.
She's fully on that ship, and the other, like, Nihil are like, where do you get all this extra money from? Like, we don't rob this consistently. And she's like, I run a really popular Depop account.
I like the idea of her running into fucking Sylvester and fucking Sylvester and Jordana, and she's like, did you get that from my Depop, girly?
Here's the thing, though. You have brought up her connection with Sylvester. I do think it is very funny. I love Lourna D. I do think that there's a very funny moment in Out of the Shadows where Sylvester Yarrow's mother, did she explore Lourna D's body? We don't know. We can't tell because Sylvester Yarrow does. Yeah. Sylvester does call Lourna, like, Aunt Lourna, and I'm like, that's like,
that's
what's
suspicious.
the story here?
Lesbicious behavior afoot.
I just need to know, Sylvester Yarrow, girl, is your mom fucking Lourna D quickly?
Okay, I will say this.
Did you fuck my mother, Santa Claus? Jess.
No, I will say this. I think Lorna is a girl boss, but unlike many girl bosses, her teeth really freak me out. She looks, and I can appreciate that she's very sexy, but to me, I'm more just like afraid.
Bestie, she did that on purpose, and it's like in Tempest Runner, you hear her like being like as like the droid is like sharpening her fucking teeth.
Yeah, something I would like to say about that also is like from a gender study lens, male Twi'leks do sharpen their teeth in canon. That's something that they do. So when she does that, she's having her literal like girl boss, like, I am going to assume the power that men have had over me in my life. Fuck you guys.
Okay, in that case, I redact my statement. Girl boss Lorna, damn. I have not listened to Tempest Runner, nor did I know that male Twi'leks file their teeth, but like, that fucks, actually.
Okay, Shamsandula with filed teeth is really hateful.
No,
Honestly,
he canonically has filed teeth.
Does he? Cut that out. I don't want to be a fake fan. Holy shit. Cham, girl, you're insane.
Look at that motherfucker's mouth. It's crazy.
Hang on, I would also like to give me.
Pause the podcast. I need to look
Stop
up
the
Shams.
podcast. We need to see Shamsandula's teeth reveal.
Shamsandula teeth.
Shamsandula.
Cham,
where I just
can you send
Googled.
me teeth pics?
That's
Why is this?
Hauser.
They are
Open your
filed.
mouth, motherfucker.
They are filed. They're
Why
sharp.
would I lie? Why would I lie?
No.
Okay.
I'm just more upset that it's true.
I can't see a single tooth. I'm literally like,
Bestie, if you just Google Shamsandula teeth, it's
Why
the
would I
first thing
Google-
that comes out. Even that my search history says Shamsandula teeth is really making me go to a place.
okay, I don't see his teeth here. Oh, ew. Jam, girl.
That's cultural practice amongst Twi'leks. Fuck you.
When that did happen in Tempest Runner, I did text Mel because we were both listening to it on the day it came out in like one sitting because we're insane. So I was like, hey, Lorna D trans? Because someone, I think the way it was revealed was someone was like, your teeth are filed like a male Twi'lek. And she was like, fuck off. And that was before we saw that she had like chosen to do it herself as an adult. And I was like, oh my God.
I do believe it's in prison.
That someone's like,
what's the fuck up with your teeth? And she's like, fuck you. Oh my god, I love Lorna D so much. I love Tempest Runner. That's like my favorite thing in the High Republic. I forgot. Anyways,
Tempest Runner is one of the only things in Star Wars that made me cry just because of one thing. It's so stupid.
there is a gentleman named John in there.
John, I'm so sorry.
I also imagine the gentleman from Succession, the main brother, as John Wittick, so it's just always very funny to me when we talk about John.
I feel like the only other thing that I really want to like point out is that Elzar Man fucks, it's already been said, but like it's so important that I would also like to say the number of characters in the High Republic that are canonically pretty, by which I mean other characters comment upon how nice they look.
Funny that you bring that up because I was gonna bring up Xylan because I think this is so hateful that he's so good looking. I hate that motherfucker, but also having a Comac moment where I did double back and look at his picture like, huh?
I do love Comac and Orla, gay uncle, gay aunt solidarity. I love them. I could talk about them honestly for 18 hours. Comac and Orla are like two of the main characters from Into the Dark, and we have not seen them together again yet, and it is hurting me. I need a reunion.
I will also say I was reading some High Republic articles today just to kind of brush up, make sure I was ready for this episode. And in the StarWars.com article of like 7 Jedi that you need to know for the High Republic, Stellan Gios, they go out of their way to say is handsome. Like in the article.
I like Stellan Gios a lot. I like the characters a lot. They're very fun. I think that like what Jess was kind of saying earlier is that there's kind of a character for everyone. Like there's people who like some things you'll relate to, some things you won't. And in the villains, what's cool is there's stuff you'll relate to like in the villains, but it's not in a way that makes you feel sympathetic for them. There are moments where I'm like, yeah, Martian Rose kind of going through it. And then I'm like, yeah, but he still like sucks and I hate him so much.
One more like thing that I like that is like spoiler territory. The manga, the High Republic manga, Edge of Balance. There is only one volume out for that right now. But Lily, girl, you're really cool and epic. You and your Padawan and the other Jedi's name, the
Arkoff?
Wookiee. Yeah, Arkoff, you're so cool. And just them having their fun little moment on the different planets. Stellan and that. There's sometimes where Stellan looked really good in that comic, in the manga, and other times I was just like, much to think about. What do you look like? I like the little Togruta, like youngling too. Such a cute little lad, little kid. Sorry, gender. I'm trying to be gender neutral. I'm pretty sure they're a girl, but little Togruta. I forget your name because it's been a while since I read Edge of Balance, but you're very epic.
It did make me miss baby Sokka, Lil Sokka, if you will, very
Oh,
badly.
little Sokka.
Hey,
Also, the little birds, the little bird people.
oh yeah. But I was gonna say, speaking of Lil Soka, here's the thing. Here's a character who I know for a fact is alive during the High Republic, given very young. When's Plo Koon gonna be there? I want to see a little baby, little teen Plo Koon in his Padawan days. I would like to see it. Please, I'm begging.
I'm still waiting for like Tarful. Like, Tarful, where are you? I know you're alive. You gotta be alive during this time period. You're fucking old as fuck.
How old would Plo be during the High Republic?
Like 200.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he's like
Isn't he
400 years old in the Clone Wars.
Is he? Is
Yeah.
that Legends or is that canon?
I can't remember.
Hold on,
but
hold
I
on,
think
because
so.
I'm gonna
wanna-
check.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's like 230 something.
Oh,
in-
Okay,
then maybe he's
we
100.
did this one time because we tried to convert between Caldor years and
Oh.
years. It took us like an hour. We didn't figure it out.
I'm gonna feel so stupid if
In Caldor years, he is 385
there we go.
at the time that he dies. So, and the High Republic is what, 200 years
Like
prior?
250-ish.
Yeah, so he would be very, very, very young.
I think it's actually 200 years exactly before
Is it?
The Phantom Menace.
because it's in 232.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
okay, yeah,
there's
then.
20 years between the Phantom Menace and when he dies. That makes him he's still in his double digit years.
Yeah, but we don't know how Keldor age. He could be a baby. He could also be a
Baby
full-grown
Plo,
adult.
like Baby Yoda.
I'm gonna assert that he would be somewhere between I think that he'd be somewhere between Bel Zettifar age, ish. But also, yeah, I don't know how Keldor years work. So maybe he could be in his 50s, but that's being a teenager. We'll never know.
Like Grogu.
Yeah, but Grogu's like a baby.
Okay,
He just
well,
sort of waddles
sorry.
around. The idea that Grogu never sat in a little floating baby basket is making me feel insane.
The idea of Bel Zettifar dragging around little baby Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, okay. Plo Koon as the eventual Padawan of Bel Zettifar.
Okay, the Bel
Oh.
Zettif, the Loden Greatstorm to Plo Koon lineage is everything to me, first of all. Second of all, I said Bel Zettifar dragging around Plo Koon. No, I will stand by what I said. I've said on multiple occasions. The Din Djarin Grogu parallels to Ty Yorick and baby Plo Koon.
Oh my god. Okay, actually the powerful concept is Ty Yorick being like, well, I'm a little bit too Jedi adjacent and I'm a little bit too involved. Maybe I'll just be a way seeker kinda. And then she's like, oh my god, this little guy's epic, and she brings Plo Koon back to the temple.
Okay, also just 26-year-old Ty Yorick having to take the trials like an 18-year-old would is very funny to me.
Not her being like, I took a gap year that ended up being a couple more years.
A gap half a decade.
What I do like too about the High Republic is, something I really like about the High Republic is that Mandalore is just there, and they're like, there's I think a line where they're like, not sure who the Nihil are yet, and they're like, oh, well, what about Mandalore? And someone's like, Mandalorians haven't been at it for a little while. They're just kind of hanging out. So I do think that this is our opening for us to see Tar Vizsla and the creation of the Darksaber, simply because I think it would be funny.
Seeing that gentleman in the High Republic would be very funny to
Didn't
me.
we talk about Tar Vizsla in one of the Rogue ones?
We did. I hope Tarvisla's just absolutely like gay and trans.
I have one more thing to say and then I will be done. Just because in terms of like epic moments in Star Wars, I am still not past the point in Light of the Jedi, the literal like first book of this, where they hold back that can of Tibanna gas from going into the sun. I don't know what is so epic to me about that scene. Maybe it's that it's well written, or maybe it's just like a cool concept, but like nothing in Star Wars has quite stuck with me as like a moment at quite as much as them all participating in unison. And like the fact that some of them end up like dropping dead in the process and they're like, we just have to keep going. Like at that moment, I was like, oh damn, the Jedi can be really epic actually. Like fuck the Jedi of the prequel era.
I will say that is like that's something we could talk about real quick is like our theories about where this story is going, because we do know that Starlight Beacon is gonna get its shit rocked. We know for a fact. There's an image of it. I think that there is something very powerful about the parallels of Avar Kriss being the one to join them together for the Tibanna gas to get fixed, and then her passing away. So that's something I'm really scared of, and that's why I think she might pass away in the Fallen Star. Once again, Fallen Star.
Okay, I'm so sorry. You talked about Avar Kriss dying. I did just have a moment where I'm like, okay, Avar Kriss dies. Elzar Mann goes into his Sith era because he's so upset, and Stellan is left to pick up the pieces, and he's like, ooh, uh-oh, because we have constantly been seeing that man deteriorating mentally and physically since the events of the Rising Storm. Like, Vernestra did comment on it, and she was like, dang, Master Stellan looks like shit right now, but I've got my own stuff to deal with. Like, I really, oh my god, okay, Elzar goes to the dark side and Stellan's like, bestie, please come back. And he and Ty have to team up to save Elzar.
That's how Stelzar ends up getting fully canonized because Stellan saves him with the power of love. I did just
And,
have a horror.
and Ty is like, I'm also here with the power of bestieship.
So true. She's like, hey, we have gay people solidarity, and that's way more important than whenever dumb crush you have on Stellan Geos. Anyway, Mel, a big personal what the fuck, because I just had a horrifying idea of how that could work. If you really want parallels, wouldn't it be interesting if Avar joins them all together to stop the Starlight Beacon from literally crashing out of the sky, and that's when she dies? So all of the Jedi have to experience it together at the same time. Anyways.
Oh, ouchie.
Just because like, that's the way that the High Republic's been running itself, especially with the recent comics. They were like, hey, the Force is connective, and that has some real fucking consequences.
We also know the Leveler is very, very connective. Like, the Leveler connects people because we see in the High Republic comics when Tarek and Keeve get hit with it, and even in the end of the Rising Storm, when Bell and Loden get hit with it, like, they're connected and they're both kind of there in that moment together, having kind of a little uh-oh moment.
Okay, I do think with like the Leveler being connective tissue through the Force, I don't think it will ever be as strong as it was with Tarek and Sarek, because they're like literally the same soul in two bodies. However, that does introduce the really terrifying and shit concept of somebody getting leveled while they're all connected and everybody has to be like, oh, fuck. Because, like, okay, the creepiest thing about the Leveler, like from a Force perspective, is the way that everybody who is around it describes it, not as like an explosion, just like an emptiness. Like in Trial of Shadows, they're like, it wasn't even that like he died. There's nothing there. There's like a negative force in the field that is the Force after Loden is destroyed by it. Like, so the idea that that's happening to, and that's the other thing, okay, the Jedi, even in the prequel era, they might like die in battle, but like otherwise, power-wise, they're untouchable. The Force is something you can't lose, but like bitches are losing it left and right. Fucking Skier is like, hey, my trauma is literally causing the Force to recede from my body. Like, that's a lot. And that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, we have talked about like the Leveler being, he levels connection, because connection is what binds us together, you know, in the same way that the Force does. So I just head full, many thoughts. Also, in that article that came out with the character lore drop for Mission to Disaster, they do mention that Dalna, which is the planet Honesty Weft is from, from A Test of Courage. They mention it because that's, I don't know. I just have a fear that Starlight Beacon is gonna get its shit rocked and something's gonna happen to that planet of Dalna, and that is going to influence things in the future. And that frightens me very badly.
Is this next wave of the High Republic that's coming out, this is like the conclusion to like group 1 of all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's gonna be in 3 phases. Phase 1 is Light of the Jedi. Phase 2 is I think Quest of the Jedi, and then the third phase is Trials of the Jedi. So that's not ominous. That's not suspicious. I do think that there might be a time jump in between, like a significant time jump between the 2 phases, simply because they have so much time to cover. They have up until, I would say, Craig Dooku's kind of deal in 89 ABY, I believe, because he's at the tail end of the High Republic. Also, fun other thing, Dooku Jedi Lost, which is a audiobook I will be listening to next week, does mention one Keeve Trennis as a Jedi who is fallen, who left the Order.
Yeah, that's one of my things is it's like, oh, well, if they're mentioned, they have plot armor. I'm like, literally, Keeve gets mentioned and Yoda's like, failed her, we did. And I'm like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen to that bestie. Because she's literally in the Hall of the Lost. I'm like, bestie, that's no good.
Yeah, that's quite bad vibes. It's not very fun. I would just like to say, from the bottom of my heart, can Bel Zettifar have a fucking break? Please. That's actually my thesis statement for this episode.
So true, bestie.
Like, let that man rest. I'm fucking begging you. Even if, like, the first couple things in the next wave of the High Republic, they're like, he's not in them at all. They're just like, Bel is taking a much needed rest break and he's in bed. Great.
So fun fact, him and Elzar Mann are likely in the Shock Ward currently together. Another character who I believe will be joining that kind of mental hospital squad is Keeve Trennis.
Not the mental hospital. The idea that Elzar, I love the idea of Elzar meeting up with Keeve and Bel and being like, I need to be a good dad to these kids that are fucking traumatized.
Something that I do think would be very powerful is that group of buddies, because Keeve, we're not entirely sure. My guess is like she's in her like early 20s, like maybe like 20, 21, 22 kind of age. And Bel we know is like 19ish and Elzar is like 35. So I think the idea of them being friends is very powerful because he's like, hey guys, and they're like, oh, is this like your like babysitter? Is this like your uncle or whatever? And they're like, no, that's Elzar. He's just our friend. And he's like, hey, and he's just like hanging out with the other kids. And he's like, so what do you guys do for fun? And they're like, we just watch TikToks. Literally, but he's not like trying to like fit in. He's just like a guy.
So we're going to have a fun little segment here this episode called, I don't know what we're going to call it. I guess what it's called in the agenda is jobs that High Republic Jedi would have if they were not in the Order. Would anyone like to start?
I will go ahead. The Jedi that I have brought to the table today is Orla Jareni, and I imagine that this will work as all of it. Like, I will say what I have already thought of, and then we can kind of debate on it. My thing about Orla Jareni is that she's very much like, she kind of wants to do her own thing, but she's also feels very stuck. So what I think would be very funny is her being like a middle manager of like a McDonald's. Like, I feel like she has like some sort of customer service job where she's like higher up, but she's not like the CEO or anything. And she's like, I really want to quit, but I don't know what I would do if I do. And Comac's like, wow, that sucks, in his 9 to 5 that he likes.
So I agree with you, except for I don't think it's a McDonald's. I do think she's a hiring manager at like an Old Navy.
Yeah, oh my god, that's so she looks like no offense to people, this is actually honorary people who've worked at Old Navy, people who survived Old Navy.
I survived Old Navy.
The idea of Orla having to pull out a customer service voice, but not just any customer service voice, an Old Navy customer service voice.
Having to sell a credit card, Orla Jareni.
Would you like
to put in your membership number for a discount? Thank you.
POV, Orla Jareni asks for my social security number.
I'd give it to her.
Would you give it to her?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. No, not even in question. She is...
I like the idea that she's not even actually middle management at this place. She's just some lady, and she's like, "Can I have your social security number?" And you're like, "Yeah."
Absolutely, I would. No, whatever she asks from me, I would give it to her.
I can go next. I think that Reith Silas. So Reith is in this weird position where he is like, I think he's fine. Like he's finally like 17, maybe 18. Because I know he started like 16 years old in Into the Dark. Anyways, he's like just about like a college age adult. So I like to think of him. I feel like he is the type to have an unpaid internship. I feel like he is like either an archaeology or anthropology major at his university, and just like, oh, like this is a really great opportunity. Realizes an unpaid internship with like fucking Comac or whatever. He's like, fuck. So he also is like. He also works at like a Jamba Juice.
Reith Silas is everything to me.
Reith Silas works at the cafe, the student-run cafe that pays like $1.95 an hour.
It's so funny you brought up like Reith doing like an unpaid internship, because that's also what I was thinking, because I picked Vern, my bestie Vern, but I think that she'd also like be like some kind of like president of like some kind of like student association, but also be like a babysitter on this side. Like she's just working all these like jobs because she is an epic girl boss who's winning.
She's fully that girl in your lecture that you look over and you're like, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And she just looks directly back at you and you're like, "Okay, thank you for your response."
She also gives me the vibe of someone who like graduated high school at like 15 or 16. So like she's almost done with college and is just becoming an adult. So she's like, yeah, I still can't drink. I technically couldn't get a job on campus because I wasn't 18 until this year. So
Okay, she is the person who, like, when you go to community college, you're in a class and the person who sits down next to you, you're like kind of chatting and you're like, yeah, so what year are you? And they're like, oh, I'm actually a junior in high school. I'm here for credits. And you're like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, I've already been accepted to like Harvard or something. I'm just here getting some credits before I graduate high school. That's Lournastasia.
The Jedi that I have brought to the table is Elzar Mann. And I'm not going to lie, for a hot second, all I could think of was him working at someplace like Femboy Hooters, and that was all I could think of. However,
I hate you.
Elzar at Femboy Hooters.
However, I do have a serious answer. I like the idea of him working at like a very up and coming winery. Like he's the guy who runs the tasting room, because I don't know how to communicate this. I think he's a connoisseur of white wine. I could just see that for him. As someone who has been a barista, Elzar Mann has very big barista energy. And I just, because like, but he's very well-meaning about it. Like he's way too peppy at 9 a.m. when customers come by, and he means that he's excited, whereas I'd be lying about it.
Okay, Elzar being a barista, this is my AU. He's like the oldest person who works there who's not the manager. So it's like, and I think even the manager might be younger than him. The manager is Ty. Elzar is a barista, and I think this is how my trauma award AU carries over, because the idea of him, Belle, and Keeve working there, and Elzar's just there. He's like their work friend who he's like, so what do you guys do outside of here? And they're like, go to college. And he's like, oh, okay, I go home and drink beer.
Also, the idea of Keeve, Belle, and Elzar all working at this Schmarbucks. Just the idea of Elzar Mann, they're like at lunch or whatever, and he's like, so do y'all want me to like buy you beer or something? And Belle's like, no, what? He's
that audio that's like, what do you want a beer? He's 4. I don't know what to do with him.
But that's Belle to himself. He's like, hey, I'm a kid. You can't buy me beer. Do you know how disappointed my dad would be if I drank beer right now? And Elzar's like, damn, sorry.
Okay, also, I do believe that Loden Greatstorm is the type to, like, like during like a holiday, he's like, Belle, would you like a
Okay.
drink of my wine?
I'm gonna say something problematic, but I do think that Loaded is like Amy Poehler from Mean Girls.
Yeah, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
Like,
Like,
I
I'm
do
not
like-
like the regular dads. I'm a cool dad.
I am a cool dad. If you drink,
I'm a cool
as long
dad.
as you do it in the house.
Loden
Like,
having fake tits is a lot to deal with.
New gender dropped. Loaded Great Storm's boob job.
The idea of like, because I feel like Bella's the type of kid where Loden's like, do you want some of this wine? And he's like, no, I do not. Do you guys think that Wreath Silas would drink alcohol if it was offered to him by his master? What are your thoughts? Do you think if Comac was like,
No.
here, have some of this, do you think he would say yes? I
Okay,
think he would say
no.
no.
So here's the thing. I do feel like I did babysit a child one time, and it was like 7:30, and I was like, okay, what time do you go to bed? And I had asked like earlier, and she's like, I'll go to bed around 7:30. At like 7:15 that night, we were just hanging out, and she goes, I need to go get ready for bed. My bedtime's in a couple minutes. I feel like that's like Wreath. Like Jorah was like,
That is
okay, Wreath,
fully
like do
Wreath.
whatever you want. And he's like, I need to go to bed right now. It's my bedtime. And Comac then inherits him as a Padawan, and Wreath is like, it's my bedtime. And he's like, it's 8 p.m. and you're almost an adult. You're going to bed now? And he's like, it's my bedtime. What do you mean? He's like, do you stay up later on the weekends or something? Like,
No, I actually go to bed earlier. I want to be ready for Sunday morning cartoons. Also, concept, Wreath Silas wearing engraved pajamas. Just an RS.
He would so have monogram pajamas. Oh my god.
I do like
wait, also-
engraved pajamas.
Listen, I don't know what they're called.
Okay. Also, concept, you guys know how like at Walmart they have like pajama sets of like different TV shows? He fully has those. I just know it.
Do you guys think Wreath Silas watches Family Guy?
I think he watched a few episodes and then he like made a joke or a reference to Vern, and she was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, it's stupid. Never mind." And he never
He was
watches it again.
He was like, yeah, I really, it's just like Lois. And she's like, who's Lois? And he's like, oh no.
Do you guys think that what High Republic characters do you think watch and enjoy South Park? Wrong answers only.
Panada.
And Kassav.
Kassav and Panada watch
I
together.
also think that gentleman who, the little guy who has the big suit, whose name I
Sitar?
Yeah. I feel like all of the men of the Nihil except for Marcia and Ro watch South Park together.
Let's get into another segment that we love. Criff, Naboo Honeymoon, Decapitate.
Mine's pretty like vanilla. Mine is everyone's favorite High Republic polycule, the Firebrands. So that includes Avar Kriss, Stellan Gios, and Elzar Mann.
Okay. Not to shoot from the hip here. So unfortunately, first of all, Avar girl, you gotta go. I am only attracted to men. So I'm like the other two I think that I would lead a very happy life with her, but given the other two options, I will not be doing that. So I am going to have to decapitate Avar. I'm sure she'd understand. She's an ally. Here's where it's complicated. Because Elzar is the man that I would want to bang, but I feel like Stellan is the one that I would actually want to like Naboo honeymoon with. So I feel like that's a pretty like understandable choice for me, pretty predictable one, but it's the truth. I'm gonna Criff Elzar and I'm gonna marry Stellan. However, as an addendum, because these characters are in a polycule, by marrying Stellan, I have also by extension married Elzar Mann.
I know I actually have the same answers as you. I love Avar Kriss, but Stellan Gios does like occupy a good space of my High Republic like brain, like and then Elzar I don't know. I know Elzar and Avar are two characters that canonically have fucked. I don't know about like Stellan, but like they've spoilers, they have fucked each other, but they have also like those have fucked. So I know Elzar probably knows something about what he's doing. Not that Avar wouldn't. I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I didn't have to kill Avar. Can we at least all be happy in the polycule for a bit before like we have to?
I feel like that would make it worse.
Salt in the wound.
I mean, I think you just have to do it. Just rip off the Band-Aid.
Pull the trigger.
Wow, that's the first time I wasn't like Naboo honeymooning someone because I wanted something from them.
You did it out of love.
Oh my god, this is like a Disney moment.
Character growth. I'm gonna marry Avar Chris. I love that woman. And I just feel like we could settle down on Naboo. Sorry, Elzar, I'm taking your dream. I'm also killing you, so sorry. So sorry, bestie. It's not that I don't like Elzar, because I do really like Elzar. I think even out of the three of them, he may be my favorite. But I feel like I would just be afraid to have sexual relations with that man. And I think the idea of pegging Stellan Gios is very funny, so...
You know what, Mel? My answer is exactly the same for the exact same reason. Because I was also thinking, like, I was like, oh, Elzar or Stellan between that, but I'm like, it would be so much funnier to peg Stellan. That being said, I feel like Stellan's also GNC as fuck, so I'm like, I can work with that. I'm marrying Avar, no question. Elzar, I love you as a character. I do worry that if I were to meet you in real life, I would find you somewhat annoying.
I am ready to present my options. It is Nihil themed, just as a warning. No, you're not gonna be as happy as you think you are. Your options are for Criff, Naboo Honeymoon, Decapitate, Martian Row, Kassav, or Pan-Eda.
I have my answer immediately.
Jesus,
I'm criffing Pan-Eda. I'm Naboo honeymooning with Kassav, and I'm killing Martian Row.
You were so ready for
I
that.
have an answer
It's
like
not-
right away too.
It's not hard.
Mine's are I'm killing Pan-Eda. I'm sorry, decapitating Pan-Eda. I'm unfortunately criffing Kassav, and I am Naboo honeymooning Martian Row.
Holy shit. Okay. I love this. This is the most like variety we've had of opinion. I am marrying Pan-Eda. I love that fancy lad. I'm fucking the shit out of Martian Row. I think it once again is very funny, the idea of pegging that gentleman. And then I am killing Kassav because fuck that dude.
Okay, so Mel and I actually have the same answer. My reasoning, by the way, for murdering Kassav is just that I think he'd be fucking annoying to spend any more than like 5 minutes with.
Well,
Okay.
Say, like, as
Can we
someone who's
talk about
choosing,
this?
as someone who's choosing to marry him, I agree 100%. But very similarly, as I did say in a Rogue once, if I had to be in one like Nihil storm, it would be Kassav's, because I feel like I could micromanage his life because he's kind of out of control. So I feel like he wouldn't be able, like, I would just like show up and be like, okay, I am going to appropriate your wealth, and you can just go sit over there and do your thing.
Okay.
I think I'd just be like super like drunk out of my mind when it like happened. So like, you know.
Also, Pan-Eda, he there's enough crossover. I could pretend he's Ninth Sister.
Get Masato tied out of here. Okay, but I need to ask this question. What do we think would be on Kassav's sex playlist?
Life is a
Because-
highway.
Yeah, just that like looped.
Life is a highway.
Specifically by Rascal Flats, not like any other, not like the actual Life is a Highway.
Life is a highway, and it's by Rascal Flats, but the song that he's added is from the Cars soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, correct. That's
Okay.
the thumbnail.
May I also just say that I think he also has an acoustic cover of Pony by Genuine.
It's like Russian roulette. He has like 30 versions of Life is a Highway from the Cars soundtrack, and then one of that.
No, because here's my proposal. It's the Cars soundtrack. Like every song played in Cars is on the sex playlist. And then randomly, Moon Song by Phoebe Bridgers. So he just stops in the middle and starts crying until the song is over, and then he's like, cool, we're good to go. And Life is a Highway plays again.
I could see him having one version of Prima Donna by Marina and the Diamonds on there.
That's
And I
so
think-
fucking funny.
I could see him being like, okay, wait, stop, hold on. We need to take a break and listen to this song.
Kassav is the guy that has a sex playlist, but he will stop every song to be like, do you know this one? You probably don't know this one. It's pretty underground. But then
Yeah.
it's just Katy Perry's Dark Horse.
I'm sorry to the lesbians out there, but this is all men again. But it is canonical pretty boys in the High Republic. So Xylan Graf, Comac, Vitus, and Elzar Man.
Ooh, here's the thing. I feel like, again, I have an answer pretty quickly. I think I would have to kill Zylan Graf. I'm sorry. I just don't have that deep of a connection to you. You are very pretty though. I would peg Elzar Man. I wouldn't just criff him. I would peg him specifically. And I think I would Naboo honeymoon with Comac. I feel like we have a lot in common.
I have the exact same answer. Elzar Man, I love you. I find you very fuckable. However, I do think that spending like more than 6 consecutive days with him, I'd be like, okay, I'm over it. Like, you're attractive, but girl, shut up.
At what cost?
No, literally. Whereas like with Comac, I don't know, we could get tea and sit in a library together, and I would be here for that life.
I would honestly, not to be problematic, but I would make pancakes for Reith. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I could be like his stay-at-home spouse. Like, I'd be his trad wife.
The idea of me and Comac hanging out, and then I have to go up to Reith and being like, I'm not trying to be your new dad. I'm just really in love with your father. So I'm gonna be spending more time with him.
Oh my god, I do like like Comac's like, can you go pick up Reith from soccer practice?
I will say, I have the same exact answer. I'm killing Xylan. Sorry, you hurt my lesbians. Fuck off. He didn't even hurt them, but you're still a bitch. Sir, go fuck yourself. Pegging the shit out of Elzar Man, obvi, and then marrying Comac.
Okay. So I don't have the same answer as you all. Okay. In a shocking twist to like really no one, I'm back in my gold digging era because I am going to Naboo honeymoon Zylan Graf because I want his money. Also, he's just very handsome, so I could be like, look at my trophy husband. Although it's not really he's not really a trophy husband because he is the breadwinner, I guess. He's just the pretty.
He's not the breadwinner. He just was born into generational wealth.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm gonna take all of his money, so it doesn't matter. And then here is an even more shocking thing of I am criffing Comac Vitus because I don't know, something about a Delph just hits different. Sorry, Reith, I'm pegging your dad. And,
Can I have that on a t-shirt?
Hey, I do think one of our points of interest in an earlier episode was
Sorry, I fucked your dad.
Sorry, I fucked your dad. Read silence.
And I am unfortunately decapitating Elzar. I love Elzar. You're very cool. I do kin you. I have to kill you.
Okay, an image came to me while you were describing that of like Jess is a Sith and discovers the secret to immortality, but instead of using it to like pursue world-ending goals, they just keep ending up with very rich men and divorcing them for all of their money. And like by the time of like the prequel and originals era, a lot of people are like, I've heard this legend of like a Sith Lord that discovered immortality, and Jess is like sweating, like, I've never heard of that.
Yes, anyway, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Crowdfund me getting one of those really elaborate fancy robes that like rich widows wear, and they're just like, oh no, my husband has passed away. That sucks.
Jess waltzing down the stairs.
That's my Sith robe. It's just a black version of one of those robes.
No, okay, but literally just waltzing down the stairs of their imperial manor in that outfit, being like, oh my god, he passed away mysteriously? Orson Krennic found dead? That's quite sad.
Orson Krennic!
We all know why it's Krennic.
And for the finale of Criff Naboo honeymoon decapitate High Republic edition, I'm bringing the heat. I'm bringing the ants. So Criff Naboo honeymoon decapitate Lorna D, Indira Stokes, Orla Jareni.
Okay, I have my answer. Right off the bat, Lorna, girl, you inspire me, but you scare me. So unfortunately, you are getting immediately decapitated. I am going to marry Indira Stokes. I feel like she'd be a really cool person to spend like the rest of my life with. And I also like, it would be Orla, except for personally, Indira, girly, powerful. That said, I do feel like Orla would be the absolute best person to have like a one night stand with. And I feel like she'd be totally cool about it. So that's my answer for that. I have settled. I do like that you were like, I'm bringing the heat, and I was like, cool, I'm ready, let's do it.
Okay, so mine's I am also unfortunately decapitating Lorna. You're very epic, but also yeah, you scare me and I can't deal with that, so you have to die. I think I would Criff Indira because she seems nice. She seems like she also wouldn't like make a big deal out of it. And then we could all like hang out and have breakfast the next day with like the rest of like Loden and Belle. Just like, why are you here? You know, just hanging out. And then I am gonna Naboo honeymoon Orla Durrani because she's very epic and cool, and we could go on her like fun little Wayseeker adventures together and hold hands. Orla Durrani, I'm free. Well, not tomorrow anymore. I have work tomorrow, but
This is so much easier when it's all men because I can just kind of be like, whatever. Now I actually care. Um, I think for sure for the reasons that Jess listed, I'm going to Naboo honeymoon Orla because I am deeply in love with her. I have been. I always will be. I just think she's so beautiful. She's everything to me. Here's where it does get difficult because I do think Lorna is very pretty. I love her. She's an eyebrow piercing, which is very scary and very intimidating. And I'm like, hey, girly. And she has a very cool voice. I'm like, she's just so epic. But also though, I am afraid she would bite me with her very sharp teeth. So I think that Indira would never, and Indira is also a MILF. I guess Lorna could be considered a MILF from a certain point of view, but I don't think she has that special something that Indira has, namely a child. So I think I will be criffing Indira, and unfortunately, not against my will, I will be decapitating Lorna D.
So yeah, unfortunately, Lorna is passing away. I respect her so much. I love her. She's honestly one of my favorite Star Wars characters. But like the idea of having sexual relations with that woman, it's scary. Orla, I think I'm going to criff. I think once again, like Noah said, she'd be chill about it. And then Indira, I would like to marry her because she's a beautiful woman. I'm obsessed with her mind. And also, I cannot wait to be Belle Zetafar's step-parent. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Name That Ship. This is our favorite segment. It involves one of us bringing a fan fiction to the table, and we will read the tags, the description, the title, and the other podcast host will have to guess who the main ship of this fic is. I have actually brought two today. The first one that I'm gonna do was sent in by a listener on TikTok at Cloudy and Gay. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it. This one's actually like very powerful too. Like I'm actually very interested in this one. It is rated general audiences. It is it's a lot of like, let me see how I can say this. Okay, it's character A / character B. Then it's Boba Fett and character B, Boba Fett and character A and character B and Ahsoka Tano. This one's gonna give it away, so I'm not gonna say it. Jango Fett and character A, Boba Fett and Aura Singh, Boba Fett and clones. And
was it Ahsoka Tano and a character or /
It was Ahsoka Tano and character B.
So character B is Plo Koon.
Character B is Plo Koon, correct. So the characters are Boba Fett, Plo Koon, character B. Character A, Wolf, Sinker, Boost. Original Clone Troopers, 104th Battalion / Wolf Pack, and Aura Singh. The tags are Good Parent Plo Koon, Adoption, Chaotic Parenting, What if Star Wars if not DILFs Preserving, No Beta, Clone Wars, Alternate Universe Canon Divergence, Season 2, Episode 22, Lethal Trackdown, Good Parent Jango Fett, Aura Singh is the worst, Childhood Trauma, Family Bonding, Two Fathers, Dads in Love, LOL, How Do I Tag, Found Family, Mandoa Used Poorly, Clones, The Clones Speak Mandoa Language, Mandalorian Culture, Established Relationship, Duolingo Mandoa, Boba Accidentally Saves the Universe, Boba Fett Needs a Hug, Let Boba Say Fuck, Hurt / Comfort, Parental Plo Koon.
Okay,
Is this Hondo Anaka / Plo Koon?
It is Hondo Naka / Plo Koon.
I love that. Thank you.
They're co-parenting Boba Fett, which is
That's
literally
so funny.
it's everything. I'm obsessed with this.
Okay, is my brain on like a different wavelength than y'all? Because I watched Mel like physically react to this while I was sitting here being like, who the fuck is the other person in this goddamn fic?
Yeah, do you guys want to hear the summary? Instead of sending Boba to space jail, Plo Koon sees an opportunity to take another abandoned child under his wing. He might have just accidentally saved the galaxy, as Boba Fett won't go quietly, and Hondo Anaka is there to make everything more complicated. This is so.
bestie.
I'm so into this.
This is
2.5
everything to
men,
me.
and I love that.
No, it's so powerful. I'm
Not
actually
2.5 men. Get out.
So this one's 2 ships. And again, I'm very interested in this. Like the premise is very interesting to me. It is rated M for mature. The relationships are character A / character B, and then 2 other characters, character C / character D. So there's 2 ships in this. The characters are character A, character B, character C, character D, Leia Organa, Luke Skywalker, Trilla Siduri, your second sister, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, Faye Star Wars. I don't know if that's an original character. That might be, but cool. John Antilles. Additional tags, time skips, alternate universe, canon divergence, pining, angst with a happy ending, order 66, hurt comfort, mind control, shatter points, force sensitive, character A, romance, adventure and romance, time travel, fixative sorts. Fellas, is it gay to dress your general in your own armor?
So one of these characters is a clone.
Yes.
Is one of them fucking Rex?
No.
Is it Cody one of the ships?
Cody is there, but it is not Cody one. Cody is character A.
Is it 2 men?
It is 2 men.
Cody and Quinlan.
No, but it is Cody and another Jedi.
Is it Mace Windu?
It is Cody and Mace Windu is the first ship.
Oh,
There's also
Okay.
another ship.
Okay, is the other ship a Jedi and clone relationship?
Sort of. One is definitely a clone, and one is kind of a Jedi.
What do you mean, kind of a?
Jango?
They're okay. Wait,
No,
it's not Jango. No,
the first
this one is a
character-
clone, and then
Like
the
an
other
absolute
person's
clone.
like, yeah, they were a member of a battalion.
Wolf?
No,
Are
but
they
the
a
other person I
commander?
would say is a Jedi, but there's no reason for these 2 people to have met ever.
Oh, wait, okay.
Time skip,
So-
very important here.
Oh, Ezra
Oh.
Bridger?
It's not. No, it's
Are they
Ray
older,
Skywalker.
the other way. No,
High Republic character?
we have not seen them in the High Republic.
Plo Koon?
It's not Plo Koon.
Is it Yoda?
No.
We've seen
Jarl
Yoda in the High
Poof.
Republic.
No. Do you guys want to try to guess the clone first? I feel like that might be easier.
is it? No, it's not Rex, right? Rex isn't here.
It's not Rex. This is not a clone commander. This is just a member of a battalion.
I
Is
don't
this
know.
Fives?
It's not Fives.
Is it?
Sinker.
It's not Synchro.
Is
They're a
it
member of the 212.
Oh, 212?
Yeah.
Waxer?
It's Waxer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Waxer.
Waxer and someone?
Yeah,
I'm a Gundy.
I don't know who that is.
Is this also a gay relationship?
Yes.
And the time skip. Luke
This
Skywalker?
person, no, this person is from a long time ago.
Arvisla?
It's Tarvisla / Waxer.
What?
Much to think about.
I have
So
so many. Okay.
Okay, so let me read the summary. When Mace joins the 212th on a dangerous world, it's meant to help them end the campaign there more quickly, but his presence there sets in motion something that started 1,000 years ago and won't be stopped so easily.
So is it like a ghost?
I
Arvisla?
I don't know, but I'm like I have not been able to stop thinking about this. Like I'm just like this
So-
is
Now that I've said the word ghost Tarvisla, I am just imagining, you know, the movie Ghost and the scene with the pottery? I am imagining that, but
Tarvisla and fucking Waxer.
yeah, Tarvisla becomes Numa's stepdad.
Okay, wait. If this is the movie Ghost, who is Whoopi Goldberg's character? Is the psychic?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I need you to. Okay, have we all seen Ghost here?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that's like one of my favorite movies.
I'm just making sure because now what I want you to picture is the scene where they're in the restaurant and she like stands up and is like, he says ditto, but that's Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about Ghost Tarvisla.
To Waxer.
So he's like, Waxer, can you come to my office for something really fast? I swear it's like not that big of a deal. And he's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, so there's this ghost that's in love with you. And he's like, okay.
I just think that's very powerful. Good for Waxer. He said, I'm pulling.
Well,
The idea, okay, I'm so sorry. I did just think of the idea of Sabine, like after like knowing all about this stuff about Mandalore and talking to Rex about it and being like, yeah, Tarvisla was the first person who held the Darksaber, and Rex was like, oh my god, one of my brothers was his boyfriend for a while, and she's like, huh?
Okay,
Being just being like, no offense, Rex, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
thank you so much for joining us this week for RuPaul's Pod Race. Episodes usually drop on Sundays. For updates, Star Wars news, and more cursed shit, follow us on social media at RuPaul's Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you really love the show, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, even if you don't use that as your podcatcher. As we approach the release of Lesser Evil, we're going to celebrate with some hashtag Throntent, so make sure to send us some questions on TikTok, tweet at us, DM us on Instagram, or send us an email at rupelpspodrace@gmail.com with your Thrawn-related questions. May the Force be with you, and don't griff it up.
Waka waka.
Waka waka.
For light and waka waka.
For waka waka in life.